Understanding markets and consumers is essential for meeting their needs and wants. If a business and the value chain it operates in does not meet consumer expectations with its products or services, it cannot be successful long term. It isn't just about the basic demands of a product, its taste, packaging or purpose. It's also about how consumers shop and the key things that drive them to make a purchase. Market and consumer research can help businesses and value chains to better understand who their customers and consumers really are, identify potential new customers and consumers, and determine what it is they really want. It can help with the essentials of running a business: budgeting, strategic planning, and business development. Consumer research can also help identify weak points in the value chain, perhaps where value is not being added, or possibly where actors in the chain are engaged in a process or activity that the consumer simply doesn't want or value. It could be something as simple as overpackaging. For example, there is growing interest in developed countries for the need to reduce waste. One area of concern for some consumers is the overuse of product packaging. Through consumer research, businesses may find that they're using more packaging than their consumers want and therefore adding unnecessary costs in their value chain without adding any real consumer value. As a consumer yourself, you would know that new products are launched into the market all the time. Some are based around sound research, meeting known wants and needs that hit the mark immediately. Others fail. The list of well-known product failures based on a lack of understanding of what consumers really want and why they behave the way they do is a long and colourful one. New Coke is a classic example that shows that even enormous companies like Coca-Cola, renowned for their marketing, can still get things fundamentally wrong. In the midst of what marketers called the Cola Wars in the 1980s, up against major competitor Pepsi and fighting for its share of the market, Coca-Cola conducted intensive consumer research. The research was based on the taste of a proposed new recipe. They were doing the right thing, making sure they knew what consumers wanted. Well, almost. The new recipe tested more positively in blind taste tests against their original Coca-Cola and rival Pepsi. So, Coca-Cola used this consumer data to justify changing the formula for Coke and rebranded. The new Coke relaunch was a huge undertaking. With the research done and people actually preferring the new recipe, this was bound to be a winner, right? Well, no, it wasn't. Within 3 months, new Coke flopped in the marketplace in the most dramatic way. Consumers didn't just not buy it, there was an enormous backlash. According to the New York Times reporter Constance Hayes, who wrote a book about Coca-Cola called The Real Thing, tens of thousands of phone calls and letters were received complaining about new Coke. Coca-Cola was forced firstly to bring back the original recipe and branding to join new Coke on the shelves. But as sales dropped even further, new Coke was withdrawn altogether. The company lost millions of dollars in the process. Why did this happen? Because the consumer research the company did only tested one aspect of consumer wants. It focused on taste alone. The research didn't take into account the fact that consumers are influenced in their purchase decisions by more than one single attribute. Consumers were buying Coke for a range of reasons, some of them linked to their own emotional connection to the brand, what it meant to them, and what it stood for. Taste was just one factor influencing their purchasing. By changing the product and brand, without exploring all the reasons why consumers were purchasing Coca-Cola, new Coke failed. You'll learn more about some of the interesting ideas around consumer behaviour soon. But before then, you'll get to learn about market and consumer research.